And what even better than just fantasy football, but these upcoming rookies, Mike. I love this rookie class. I love every single rookie class. We get rookie fever around here a little bit. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but no.
We can keep our minds.
There's and you know what? We're still in the preliminary scouting stages. We could say it's January. Yeah, there's still a lot of guys I want to look into, but I'm liking the way that this class is shaping up. The quarterback class is different than what
Deep.
we've seen before. It's deep, which I kind of like. And I guess maybe the reason I'm so bummed is because the tight end class right now is not what I would want it to be. But that's okay
Mm,
because I'm going to touch a little bit on the tight end class. And one of the things that the narrative that we're hearing about this class too, Nate, is the running back class is not good. And I got to be honest with you, I think we're going to start putting that to bed tonight. With this podcast, we're going to start to tell people what we really think about this class because these guys are going to be getting slept on because the narrative online, everywhere, Reddit, X, whatever the heck you want to call it, they're saying it's bad. We're going to tell you otherwise. Nate, do me a favor, kick it off, hit me with a 2024 early rookie sleeper.
yeah, one of my favorite sleepers in this running back class at this point is Marshawn Lloyd, running back out of USC. And what he did this year was pretty impressive. He did have 816 yards, 9 touchdowns, and averaged 7.1 yards per attempt, Mike. He was very explosive, created a lot of big plays. I mean, we're talking about a guy that 56.7% of his yardage was on breakaway runs of 15 yards or more, which he had 18 of while he was at USC this year. Now, he was a senior. He was 4 years into college. You don't see any stats for his freshman year because he tore his ACL in fall camp right before the season started. He was pretty highly recruited, and he went to South Carolina. Took him a full, whole year to get back. First season back, he struggled a little bit, but his second season off the ACL injury, which we see all the time, it takes players 2 years to really come back from that ACL injury, which really makes what Breece Hall did this year that much more impressive. There's only a few guys that can perform at that kind of level their first season back from an ACL injury. Marshawn Lloyd, though, that second year, he did average 5.1 yards per carry for South Carolina, scored 9 touchdowns. Caught 18 balls. So, he was productive that year and had the opportunity to transfer to USC, which he did, went and joined Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley in that offense. And that offense started out so strong. And we saw that with Marshawn Lloyd. He looked really good at the beginning of the season. He looked solid throughout the rest of the season. He did not fall as hard as a lot of that offense did over the course of the season, as USC as a program really kind of fell apart with the football program at the end of the year. But Marshawn Lloyd looked good through the year. Like I said, finished with 816 yards on 115 attempts. So he's very productive. We get that little bit of receiving work in there. And something I really like about Marshawn Lloyd is he's very agile and explosive. His lateral quickness is really an asset that is not just for making people miss. At the line of scrimmage, in the backfield, he's able to make jump cuts, use that as his hesitation, and then take it up the field. He'd be great in a system, a zone running system, much like a Shanahan scheme, where he can take it up the middle on a cutback. That is the kind of player that he's going to excel in that kind of scheme where he can take it up the field on a stretch run and bring it back. That's what I want to see Marshawn Lloyd do, and I think he can do it extremely well. Though he's a little undersized at 5'9", 210, he's a strong runner. He has good contact balance, and he's good inside the tackles. He's not someone that you have to run outside. You have to have being a receiving back. Actually, I think he's a better runner than he is even a receiving back, and he does that decently well. But I do really like Marshawn Lloyd and what he brings to the table. Like I said, explosive. He's got that agility. He's a great athlete. I think he's got good vision and can really make some explosive plays. I want to see what Marshawn Lloyd can do. I don't think he's going to be a number one by himself in a backfield, but he can be a really strong part of a committee, either that 1A or 1B.
Right now, currently on NFL Mock Draft Database, he's a projected 4th-round pick. I think that seems fair for him.
Yeah, I think he's an early day 3 guy. And listen to me like in the day 3 guys. I'm kind of looking at the position now where if I'm going to compromise and start to buy into day 3 guys, well, then I'm really going to shape my idea of the running back position to be, look, these guys are all one contract players. And even at this point, I don't think they're even one contract players. They're 2-year players. And sometimes they're contract players, but really when you're creating your expectations for these players, what are they going to do their rookie in second season? After that, you really can't control it. You can reassess, of course, after the rookie season. But, at this point, What are they going to do in their first 2 years? That's kind of what I'm looking at. I think Marshawn Lloyd can go in there, make an impact pretty quickly.
I do agree with you. I'm a fan of Marshawn Lloyd as well. I think the draft capital 4th round would be fitting for him. I think he's a little underrated as a receiver as well. Saw him catching some nice passes out there. The one thing I noticed though too, he did have a couple problems, but on some of the shorter passes, Caleb Williams just put a little too much mustard on it, and that's something that can be coached out of Caleb at the next level too. But Marshawn Lloyd, I am a fan, and I'm sure we'll be talking about him more on the channel.
Yeah.
Just like you're going to hear me yakking a lot about Washington running back Dillon Johnson. This is a guy that I've liked for a while. He's got a good frame. He runs really hard. He's really good between the tackles, typically shrugs off tackles well. He is an above average receiver. He did spend 2 years at Mississippi State. They throw to the running backs a lot there. He didn't catch a ton at Washington. I just don't think that that's what they do in Washington. Very good play strength. He's typically falling forward. He has a really nice change of direction as well. I do have some concerns. Of course, not every prospect is going to be perfect. Does not have elite speed. His vision is typically good, but he's not the best runner when he has to turn it outside. I like him between the tackles more. And there are times I've noticed he can completely disappear from a game. I don't know if that's him or if that's just the Washington scheme. And after the catch, he doesn't have the best burst. I don't know if that's just him not catching the ball in stride well, or if that's Michael Penix. I do have some mechanical concerns about Michael Penix too. I noticed when he throws the ball, he sets his base so wide and he like throws across his body. It just looks very awkward and unnatural. So could be part of it, but we're not talking about him right now. I do think he's a day 3 pick. NFL mock draft database has him projected in the 6th round. I do think that that could go up with the combine. I think he gets picked in the 5th, really splitting hairs there. But I think his best trajectory, he could be like the next Brian Robinson. Just goes somewhere that a coaching staff really likes. And if not, I do think, and if that doesn't happen, like Marshawn Lloyd would be a good running back 2 on a team, could be a good flex fill-in, a good bye week fill-in for you. And I think he could have some relevancy. I like Dillon Johnson a little bit.
He was tough too. He got injured in the semifinal and came back and was ready to play for the final.
Yeah.
And he was beat up a lot in that game as well and continued to go out there and play hard. Very impressive player.
It's 6'1" too. So he's a big boy. He's not a little running back. Lots of big running backs in this class too.
Lots of big players in this draft class.
So Nate is going to continue giving out vibe checks and talking about sleeper 2024 rookies. Nate, who you got?
Yeah, this time I'm coming out with Ladd McConkey, who we're starting to see some more hype about on the airwaves here on YouTube, on Twitter, things like that. People are starting to catch on. We're catching on here at the Dynasty Rewind. We've been talking about Ladd McConkey for a little bit now. We actually were talking about Ladd McConkey when we hit 10,000 subscribers here on YouTube. So he is, a bona fide Dynasty Rewind man. He is part of the legend now. He is part of the brand. And so I had to talk about him tonight because there's some questions about, hey, what are we doing with Ladd McConkey? He's being put in the 1st round of some mock drafts. He's being put in the 3rd round of our mock draft. Where is he? Anywhere in between there. If you look at mock drafts that go into the 2nd, 3rd round, NFL mock drafts, we're seeing him day 2. We're seeing him in the 2nd round. Ladd McConkey is a player that has a lot of talent and is a kind of player that NFL teams are looking for right now. And what I mean by that is his play style comparison is I would say Robert Woods-esque with his ability to create yards after the catch on those screens and things like that, while also being a really good route runner, being good size, 6 foot, 185 pounds. He's really a do-it-all kind of wide receiver that you can move around the formation. You can get the ball in his hands close to the line of scrimmage. You can have him move the chains, kind of that Robert Woods-esque kind of player. But with his ability to create yards, he's going to be labeled by some as the next Puka Nacua, because Puka Nacua was comped to Robert Woods by some people. So that's similar play style. And every NFL team this year is going to be looking for the next Puka Nacua. And Ladd McConkey is going to be a name that's circled in red as, hey, is this guy one of those guys that I can use the same way that the Rams used Puka Nacua? I think there is something to get excited about with Ladd McConkey. His yards per route run was very, very impressive this year for Georgia. He did miss some time. One of the concerns that we do have with Ladd McConkey is a back injury that has flared up multiple times in his career. And back injuries, they can be, a little vicious and a little hard to work with. So the medicals are going to be an important thing for Ladd McConkey throughout this draft cycle. But let's get back to the yards per route run, because his efficiency was really, really good when he was on the field. 3.26 yards per route run, Mike. Anytime you get to 3 or more, those are elite numbers for a wide receiver. Ladd McConkey was elite when he was on the field, and he did that because he was creating 6.3 yards after the catch per reception. His career average over the past 3 years is 6.6 yards after the catch per reception. So he's a guy that's constantly creating yards, and he also catches 75% of his passes. So he's not a guy that's getting down the field and only catching a couple and creating yards after the catch like that. No, he's being used up and down the field. He is creating yards after the catch. He's a guy that I really like to watch because of his versatility. Average depth of target, to bring another stat up to show his versatility, is 11.6 over the last 3 years over his career. That is not one of those players you're just getting the ball in his hands through screens. You're not just, getting him close to the line of scrimmage and then letting him get space as he gets turned around or letting him run into space. No, Ladd McConkey is running full routes, the routes that you expect an NFL wide receiver to run, and then creating yards after the catch in those situations. I actually am a really big fan of Ladd McConkey. I think he's going to end up in the second round of a lot of our rookie drafts. He was in our third round of our last one. That's because I knew that none of you guys were going to pick him. I could pick him up as a steal in the third round. But as everyone starts catching on, we're going to have to pick him up in the second round. I think that's where his draft capital is going to lie in both the NFL draft and in your rookie drafts. And depending on his landing spot, if he goes to a creative offense, I would be really, really excited about what he could do, especially in fantasy football, because I think a team might try to get the ball in his hands pretty often. That's what Georgia did. It worked out pretty well for them. I am excited about Ladd McConkey. We got to get the vibe check. The vibes are good, Mike.
Second round projected draft pick.
That's what I'm saying.
NFLmockdraftdatabase.com. So, yeah, for sure.
I think the first round's a little spicy for me. But like I said, everyone's going to be looking for the next Puka Nacua next year.
Yeah, that's true. And I feel like always looking for the next something is a dangerous way to go about things. Okay, so you're just saying that you want the best next good value, right? It's essentially what you're saying. So
yeah, well, there's something to it. If you can pick him, you got him. I mean, Ladd McConkey, I think he's as good of a shot as anyone.
I have a fire sleeper for you, Nate.
Let's hear it.
Bob's going to love this one. Kansas State tight end Ben Sinnott. We talk about versatile. This guy came in as a fullback. He switched to tight end. He could be used in various formations, strong at the catch point, super, super solid hands, and he catches the ball well in stride. There are times he's out there. He's catching the ball. He looks like a wide receiver, tracking the ball down, catching it in stride. The way he jumps up, he high points the ball. He's physical at the catch point as well, and a very good burst after the catch. He's way burstier than I would expect him to be. It's a word now, just like Tracy.
You just can't put I guess we can just put Y's at the end of everything.
Good quick leads off the line as well. And his routes are also run extremely well. And he has a varying route tree. It's not just all these little dump offs or screens, although he is really good on screens as well. I see him out there putting in the work. After the catch, while he has a good burst, he's not overly elusive. He's also a tight end. And while he's strong at the catch point, I think he needs to be more physical everywhere else. I think he's going to go early third round. I didn't get a chance to pull him up. Where do you think he's going to go?
I think he's a day 2 guy in the NFL draft. I think in our rookie drafts, I think third round makes sense for a tight end that's not JT Sanders or Brock Bowers.
Well, we must be off a little bit then, because according to NFL Mock Draft Database, he's a projected 4th round pick. But I think
he'll get there.
I think he will too. I don't think he's going to be a sleeper for very long. I think after the combine, it's going to be, I'm not saying he's the next Sam Laporta, but I think people are going to start paying attention to him the way that they started to pay attention to Sam Laporta late. And people are going to catch on a little bit later. And that's fine, because guess what? You're being told about him right now. But I think he's going to go an early third round pick. And I think he's going to be, for now, a third round rookie pick, late second. And like I said, could he be the next Sam Laporta? Given a good spot, I actually would kind of like him to go to the Rams, to be honest with you. Tyler Higbee is getting older. He just got injured. Bryson Hopkins never really panned out. And Davis Allen is there. He's better than Davis Allen. Those are a few 2024 early rookie sleepers that we got for you guys. Stay tuned. We're going to be talking about more sleepers. I'm sure of it. We got a lot more good rookie content coming your way, so stay tuned, everybody. Until next time, for Nate, I'm Mike. Thanks for listening.